What are you watching?
What are you watching? Elodie, le film!
I still remember the day I walked into Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis, full of hope and expectation. I had paid a pretty penny for a week-long stay, thinking I'd be treated to a luxurious experience. Oh, how wrong I was. As I approached the reception desk, I was greeted by a single, overwhelmed staff member, William. Poor guy looked like he was drowning in a sea of unhappy customers. I sympathized with him, but that sympathy would soon turn to frustration. The check-in process was a nightmare. They told me my room wouldn't be ready until 2 p.m., and I'd have to wait. I politely asked if I could at least store my luggage, but the response was a curt, "We'll call you when it's ready." No apologies, no empathy, just a dismissive tone that set the tone for the rest of my stay. While I waited, I noticed a kid's playroom nearby. How exciting! My 6-year-old autistic daughter would surely love it. But, as we entered, we were hit with a wall of loud noises. I politely explained to the monitor that my daughter has sensory issues and can't tolerate loud sounds. Her response? Difficile, nay? Difficult, huh? A careless, sarcastic comment that left me speechless. Later, when we finally got to our room, we realized it wasn't ready either. The bed was a mess, and the linen was still dirty. I requested a change of sheets, but it took them 2 hours to deliver. 2 hours. Can you imagine? The room itself was tiny, with no desk or comfortable seating area. It was like they expected us to perch on the bed all day, staring at the walls. And don't even get me started on the continental breakfast, stale pastries and lukewarm coffee. I mean, who serves coffee that's not hot? But the real kicker was the kids' program they touted. It was a joke. They promised activities and games, but when we arrived, the room was empty, except for a few scattered toys. My daughter was devastated. I felt like I'd failed her. And then, there was the internet. Oh, the internet. It was like they wanted us to remain disconnected from the world. The signal was weak, and I couldn't even check my emails. I asked the staff to help, but they just shrugged and said, "It's a problem with the provider." Unbelievable. At this point, I was fuming. I demanded to speak to the manager, but of course, they were unavailable. I asked to speak to someone, anyone, who could help me. That's when Priscilla, the events coordinator, called me. She had the nerve to tell me that I needed to pay an additional 450 Brazilian reais per person for the New Year's Eve dinner, which was supposed to be included in the package. I was livid. As I looked around, I saw other guests struggling with the same issues. The elevators were broken, the cleaning staff was inefficient, and the restaurant food was a disaster. I realized that Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis, was not just a poorly managed hotel, it was a scam. I felt like I'd wasted my money, my time, and my trust. I was supposed to be on vacation, relaxing and recharging. Instead, I was stuck in a never-ending nightmare. As I write this, I'm still shaking with anger. I want to warn everyone, stay away from Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis. They don't care about you, they only care about taking your money and leaving you to suffer. What do you guys think? Have you had similar experiences with hotels that promise the world but deliver nothing? Share your stories in the comments below. You know, I've been looking into crimes near Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis, and, honestly, it's like, kinda scary, you know? Like, you'd think it's a nice area, touristy and all, but, oh boy, there's some shady stuff going on. So, businesses near Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis are like, super friendly, but, behind that smile, they might be trying to scam you, like, big time. Okay, so, I heard about this one incident where a tourist bought some authentic Brazilian jewelry from a local shop. Sounds legit, right? But, nope, it was all fake, and the shop owner just disappeared with the money. Like, can you believe it? I'm guessing the tourist was so embarrassed and felt so silly for falling for it. They probably reported it to the police, but, honestly, I don't think they ever got their money back. And the shop owner? Probably just opened up a new shop somewhere else, scamming more tourists. And then, there's this other thing, where some tourists got approached by people claiming to be local guides near Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis. They offered to show them around, but, in reality, they were just taking them to overpriced restaurants and shops, getting a commission for each tourist they brought in. Like, how low can you get, right? I predict the tourists were so annoyed and frustrated, feeling like they'd been taken advantage of. They probably warned their friends and family about it. But, who knows, maybe the scammers are still out there, doing their thing. It's like, when you're on vacation, you want to relax and have fun. But, you gotta stay on your toes, you know. Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis, it's a beautiful area, but, you can't let your guard down. Businesses near there might seem nice, but, behind the scenes, they might be cooking up some scammy scheme to take your money. Just, be careful, you know? The businesses surrounding the Slaviero Ingleses Convention, Florianpolis, present a landscape, disheartening, to say the least. A pervasive sense of unmet potential, of corners cut, and a distinct lack of care permeates the commercial offerings. It's not merely that individual establishments fall short, it's a systemic issue, a pattern of disappointing experiences woven into the fabric of this locale. My analysis, compiled from a considerable volume of traveler feedback, suggests a destination struggling to reconcile ambition with execution. It feels like a sad, unfinished painting. Let's begin with establishments that attempt to present themselves as retail experiences. Places like the North Barra Shopping. These, universally, appear to operate under a principle of minimal effort. The energy within these spaces is visibly depleted. Staff, it seems, are not merely tired, but burdened by a quiet resentment, extending a brand of service that feels less like hospitality and more like reluctantly fulfilling an obligation. One reviewer described it as being served by individuals who appear always tired and in a bad mood. That's a rather polite way of stating it, isn't it? It's as if the very act of assisting a customer is perceived as an imposition. This isn't isolated, complaints detail a general disinterest, a palpable lack of engagement. Beyond the lack of enthusiasm, there's a rather astonishing disregard for basic amenities. The absence of functional restrooms, replaced by a pay-to-use scheme, tuhish for the privilege of relieving oneself, feels almost medieval. It's a petty, infuriating detail, indicative of a deeper problem, a prioritization of profit over common decency. To charge for access to a fundamental human need, it feels like a subtle form of exploitation. Other reviewers describe the shopping center as dark, empty, a dead space, lacking air conditioning and filled with the oppressive heat emanating from sparse kitchens. The impression is one of a building slowly succumbing to entropy. One reviewer simply stated the shopping center is not even close to being a shopping mall. It is not a place one would choose to spend a rainy day, I suspect. This pattern extends to establishments attempting to offer more specialized services. Consider the SPA Inner Revolution Majestic. While the aspiration of luxury is evident in the name, the reality appears considerably different. Payments, instead of being processed through established, secure channels, are routed through international applications, and when those fail, as they inevitably will, given the inherent complexities of such systems, customers are subjected to aggressive, unprofessional demands for payment. A European client, accustomed to a higher standard of service, was met with rude and disrespectful messages, a stark contrast to the hospitality they typically receive. The owner of the spa seems to not understand the basics of customer service. They appear to want the customer to give them the money and not care about the customer. The value also does not add up, with one reviewer stating the price is above the average and the service is below other spas. The issues aren't limited to financial disputes. A sense of neglect is pervasive. One review mentioned old and dirty bathtubs, worn-out slippers, a general need for renovation. The spa, it seems, is resting on its laurels, content to offer a subpar experience at a premium price. It's a disheartening realization that a space dedicated to relaxation and rejuvenation can, in fact, be a source of stress. It feels almost cruel. Let's turn our attention to the dining options. Trattoria Campione, for example, appears to consistently deliver a thoroughly disappointing experience. Orders are incorrect, food arrives cold or poorly prepared, and attempts to address these issues are met with indifference, or outright hostility. A request for a pizza without onions, for instance, resulted in a pizza with onions, and a refusal to rectify the error. It's not just a mistake, it's a declaration of disregard for the customer's preferences. Reviews lament poorly cooked pasta, salty meat, and alarmingly long wait times. One review from nearly a decade ago remains tragically relevant, nothing more. The place seems stuck in a culinary time warp. It feels like a betrayal of the simple joy of a good meal. This malaise extends to Paradiso Mercato e Cafe. The complaints paint a picture of a profoundly unpleasant atmosphere. Rude staff, dry and tasteless food, and an overall air of arrogance appear to be the norm. A reviewer described being treated like a dog, pointed at rather than addressed with basic courtesy. Another reported unsettling interactions with staff, feeling invaded and watched. The food itself is frequently criticized: stale pastries, poorly prepared salads. It's a place where, apparently, basic competence is considered an optional extra. What is particularly